once again. Hand off to Noel. He gets a block. He gets another block. Nate Noel across the 50, 40, 35, 30. And he's going to be run out of bounds just outside of the Marshall 25-yard line.
Another handoff to Anderson Castle. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. App State keeping their foot on the gas pedal. It's 43-10.
And it's going to be a handoff to Cam Peoples, and he's going to be in the end zone for a touchdown. And App State has retaken the lead here at Kimbrough Stadium.
Bryce in the shotgun. Noel behind him. 4 wideouts for App. Drops back to Thoreau. Pressure coming. Gets it off quick. Looking for Malik Williams. Downfield. He's got him. Malik Williams. Touchdown! 48 yards!
You're listening to Sports Wrap on 90.5 WASU FM.
That is right. You are listening to Sports Wrap. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you all are doing absolutely fantastic this evening. Such a pleasure to be back with you in the studio again. We were with you on Tuesday and back again here on Thursday, and I could not be more excited to be on air live again. And once again, another Thursday, and we got just about the same 4 guys we had every Thursday last semester. Cooper Govero, Stephen Biddix, and then Lucas Warren all around the table here this evening. So, fellas, I'm excited to get going. How about y'all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's been rainy, but glad to be back. Last semester on air for 3 of us, so it's definitely nice to be back, though.
Yeah, wild thing that it's 3 of ours last semester doing Sports Wrap, but been looking forward to doing this for a while now. It's just how bad this rain's been all day. Not too much to look forward to otherwise.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited to be here. I'm the only one not leaving this year, I guess, so I'll be keeping the torch going. But, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And the only one that's brave enough to wear a Knicks sweatshirt, too.
It's a cool sweatshirt.
Hey, Knicks are on the up. I'm there with you.
I just watched them lose very badly to the Grizzlies last night, so I don't know about that.
Future's there.
Stephen A. was going to town on NBA Today at 3 o'clock about the New York Knicks. It was pretty entertaining to watch.
Doing the same with Brian Flores, too. Man.
That is kind of coming from a Knicks fan, so, I mean, I guess he's got a right to, so... But yeah, I was listening to that intro, and it really makes me miss football season and getting to call games and stuff. This year was my last time ever getting to call those, so it's kind of cool to hear that. And then you hear those calls, and it's like you immediately get a memory of back to kind of where that those events took place, and it's awesome. It was awesome to get to be a part of this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and I guess get it started, but I want to kind of go ahead and start with the questions. So this is kind of one of those hypothetical questions you always hear all the time. It's like I see those TikToks all the time. It's like, give up this for $1 million that you can't talk to such and such for however long, and that kind of thing. So it made me wonder. So this one might be kind of easy. I don't know. It's easy for me. If you had to give up your favorite food or your favorite hobby, which would you choose and why?
I think, honestly, so I actually have a lot of favorite foods. Like, I like a bunch of different foods. So I think favorite kind of gets, like, crowded a little bit. Like, I could have realistically, like, 4 different favorite foods. So I'd probably get my favorite food. I normally say, it's like a toss-up. I normally say pizza's my favorite food, but I don't really know. Like, it's never the same for me. So I would definitely say give up your favorite food because, I love what I do. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give up food, too. It comes between pasta and golf. Yeah. And Cooper knows that there's nothing that's going to take golf away from me, so the pasta's got to go.
Pound ears.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like basketball or my mom's rice and beans for me. I guess food, because, like, not having basketball would suck. So, I guess food's the only option there.
There's a lot of I'm kind of like Coop. There's a lot of foods that I really enjoy eating. There's a lot of meals I really enjoy eating. I would still though probably give up food because I'm about like Steven. Steven works at a golf course. So he gets to play golf like every week just about.
What's your handicap?
I on the other hand am a broke college student, so I don't get to play golf every single day. But I have hit the links before with Steven, so I do know Steven's golf game. But no, I'd have to give up my favorite food too, probably because I mean, I don't know. Would you consider being on the radio a hobby? I mean, I guess you could. So I mean, I couldn't give up. I couldn't give up. Playing golf and hitting the links or talking on the radio. So I would have to say food. So that was good. It reminded me a little bit of that icebreaker. It reminded me a little bit of that Doritos little debate we had last semester. So, but I got a great show tonight. Should be pretty exciting. We're going to preview the Super Bowl then. That time has finally arrived. The rivalry is right around the corner. The best rivalry in college sports. And then we'll end up getting into probably all the sports too. And then we'll end up getting into basketball. So a lot of good stuff we got coming up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just get right into it because we've already wasted 5-6 minutes. So the Super Bowl, obviously we know now, is just over 2 weeks out. Or Sunday will be a week.
It's under 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm sorry, under 2 weeks. I'm sorry. So the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge is tonight, and I saw a video of Carson Palmer absolutely eating it in the Skills Challenge several years ago. So it made me wonder, what's kind of y'all's favorite, I guess, Skills Challenge memory that you remember watching?
Well, I'm not. The first one is a skills challenge, but when Jarvis Landry was it Jarvis Landry? He had the last ball in the dodgeball.
Yeah, dodgeball.
That wasn't skills challenge. That was one of the best dodgeball that I've ever seen. It has nothing to do with football, but I would say honestly, if you go back to 2020, the Pro Bowl in 2020, the best hands challenge of the 2020 Pro Bowl was insane. The AFC side absolutely smacked the NFC side. Deshaun Watson throwing to Jarvis Landry, Lamar Jackson throwing to Mark Andrews. So there was some crazy catches made by Jarvis Landry and Andrews. I mean, those guys have hands. On the other side, it was Russell Wilson and Devontae Adams and Kirk Cousins and Cordell Patterson. But I love seeing receivers make really athletic catches. I mean, that's their job, but seeing them put up to a challenge to see what they can catch is just really fun. Seeing my favorite quarterback, despite what's going on, Deshaun Watson throwing great passes in the Pro Bowl challenge, it was a great challenge.
Yeah, so for me, my favorite thing to watch in the Skills Challenge, it's not even around anymore. Do you guys remember back in the day, we see the videos from the early 2000s of the quarterback arm strength challenges where they would just be launching the ball 60, sometimes 70 yards downfield. You'd see a young Brett Favre, a Drew Bledsoe, pre-Tom Brady replacement, and just some of these guys out there just launching balls 60, 70 yards. I wish they would still do it now, but I mean, it makes sense. People get hurt a lot more now, and you don't want somebody blowing a shoulder in the Skills Challenge.
You gotta wonder who would win that.
I mean, between Allen and Mahomes.
Josh Allen.
I would say Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Good competition.
Because then you have Jay Herbo you can throw out there too. Justin Herbert.
Oh yeah, he can throw missiles.
There's so many guys. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still launches the ball 50+ yards in game all the time, just to keep it interesting. So I always loved. I was really little when they started, but I love going back on YouTube and watching those now, or seeing them on social media whenever they start to resurface.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a huge skills challenge guy. Not my favorite thing to watch, but I remember that I think they got rid of it because I was looking at the events, but it was like a tag team relay course kind of thing. And I liked it because it actually let the big guys do the offensive linemen push something. And I just love seeing the offensive linemen because they get so hyped. I think it was Trent Williams last year. But yeah, that'd definitely be my favorite. I just love because it's always quarterbacks and wide receivers. I love giving the people who are in the trenches some love during the Pro Bowl weekend.
Yeah, I like that one too. It's kind of like the gauntlet kind of thing. Yeah. I think that one's pretty cool. I like the quarterback accuracy one's always fun to watch. To see them make those throws, and it's impressive because some of those targets are tiny. And I mean, and they're money on those things. Of course, they work at it all year long, basically, minus a couple weeks. I like the dodgeball. There's a couple of them that I like. All the ones y'all mentioned I really enjoy. The quarterback gauntlet one was always fun. The running back one was fun. There's a lot of them. I think the skills challenge is a good little good little addition to Pro Bowl, I guess. I did see, though, I didn't know this, but I did see where it actually took place yesterday, but they air it tonight. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't know that, but I guess that's.
Where's it taking place this year? Is it in Florida?
I think it's in Vegas.
No,
last year it was in Florida.
About 3 or 4 years.
I know they moved it to Hawaii, but I could have.
It was in Orlando 2 years ago. I don't know if it's still there, but
that must be why. Because Hawaii's
it's in Las Vegas.
I was just saying. I thought it was in Vegas, but I think Hawaii's 5-6 hours behind us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that would make sense.
But I'd be irritated if I was a player growing up watching players go to Hawaii for a whole entire week and then
Pro Bowl weekend.
Like a couple years ago, it's like they did it 2 years in a row. It's like, oh, sick. I get to go to Orlando now compared to Hawaii. I'm like, come on now.
You gotta wonder though if it's maybe just like it must be just like travel restrictions
Disney
and stuff.
headquarters too, though.
But still, I mean,
ESPN.
It's like everything in the NFL, Jason. It's about the money. You're gonna get a lot more
that
money
is
in
true.
Vegas and in the U.S. than you are in Hawaii, and you have much bigger stadiums in the mainland than you do in
But I
Hawaii.
mean, that's every professional sport though. They're chasing the money. The players, the organizations, everything chasing
NFL's
the
chance
money.
to show off Allegiant Stadium too, I guess.
Yeah. So it's the skills challenge is fun. I really enjoy that one a lot. That's like for NBA All-Star week, I guess. I enjoy watching the skills challenges.
That's the best
I
one.
do
I think
love
that's
it.
the
NBA
best
has some
sport.
good
That's
ones,
better than
Yeah, better.
It translates
better
those types
than
of things.
better than like the Rising Stars game. The dunk contest is fun sometimes depending on who's in
So
it.
don't sleep on the
3
NHL
points is the
skills
best one.
challenge either, though. NHL's awesome. I love hockey, as you guys know, but the NHL one's actually
Pens.
coming up in another week, or actually this weekend, and that one's fun too.
You know what I noticed, and I don't understand why in my 22 years on this earth I had never even paid it any attention, but I didn't realize that Pittsburgh was the only city that had professional sports teams with all the same colors.
Yeah, and more
I
people
mean,
should
and
follow
like-
it.
meaning like,
Washington's the
I-
closest. You have the Caps that are red and blue. You have the Wizards that are red and blue. The Natties are red and blue.
and the
And then you
Commanders.
now have the Washington Commanders, which is interesting for more than one
Took
reason.
them 2 years to come up with that name, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty
Really
basic
don't.
name, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen, but the best chant to come out so far is "We are Commanders." Bum, bada, bum, bum, bum. Because everyone else just keeps calling them commies. And it's
The Pat
hilarious.
McAfee show did that.
No, it's gonna be a
Let's
meme.
go.
Am I the
for
only one?
sure.
Like, I 100% like football team more. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool. It was like a soccer team.
But it was a big meme, though. Everyone's like, your team doesn't even have a name. Like, you just lost to a
Yeah.
team that doesn't even have a name.
But I mean, just think about it. Like
Felt
you
professional.
could have done. I heard like Red Hawks was when they were considered. Red Tails was when they were considering.
I like the Hogs. Let's go Hogs.
Yeah, Red
Like,
Hogs,
get behind
yeah.
that.
I mean,
Arkansas, I mean.
my whole thing is the uniforms just there. So I mean, I know the Redskins ones were pretty basic, but I mean, even the Commanders uniforms now are pretty basic.
I
and-
do like the black
So, like,
ones,
The
though.
black
think-
ones are
I
clean,
like the
but they
black
look like
ones.
Arizona State's uniforms.
I
That was the
think-
first
They
thing I
do.
thought about.
The
It
one
looks
thing
like
that I
ASU.
probably would have added, and I know that I don't know how many of y'all are necessarily familiar with like Nationals logos and stuff, but like the Washington Nationals, and my dad has a hat of it, and I'm sure Schweikert would know, but they have an alternate hat that's got like the W, and then it's got the Washington or the Capitol building on it. I think that would have been cool to add into it, to add the Capitol building into the W, but I don't know. I feel like Commanders was just kind of like a get me over name. You gotta wonder. I mean, you gotta wonder if maybe that's gonna be a permanent
Please the
name.
masses.
Well,
too,
did you see
maybe.
did you see the video too when they were going with Chase Young last year over like 8 different names, and he gave the Commanders an F rating, and now he's having to like, push it. Yeah, it was on. It was CBS Sports on one of their little
That's
podcasts.
terrible.
I'm pretty sure it was hilarious.
I bet Jim Rome had something to say about that.
Yeah.
Dude, I like Jim Rome. He's cool. I like him a lot. All right, so let's move on, I guess, now. So, obviously, we all in this room and probably all of us in the world know what the Super Bowl matchup is. So, I want to kind of get you all's thoughts, I guess, on this one and how do these two teams kind of match up? Because, I mean, on paper, you would think immediately it's going to be the Rams, but at the same time, I wouldn't count out Joey B.
No, yeah, I think obviously two teams that people didn't expect these two teams to be facing each other. A lot of people picked, some of you guys even picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl because of Matt Stafford getting traded. I honestly think, so this is a perfect, true matchup of elite quarterback wide receiver duos. You've got Joe Burr. You've got Jamar Chase. You've got Matt Stafford.
roll the
You got
tongue?
Cooper. You got Joe Burr.
Joe
No,
Shiesty.
Yeah, Joe Shiesty. No, so, I mean, you've got like bona fide top 5 receivers in the NFL this year. The number 1 receiver with Matt Stafford, and you've got Jamar Chase, who is a blooming rookie, maybe offensive rookie of the year potentially. Offensively, these teams actually match up pretty well and can score with the best of them. Stafford finished this year 3rd in passing yards, 17 interceptions though. It's actually tied with Trevor Lawrence for most in the NFL. That's a problem for him, and I'll get to that. Joe Burrow, 6th this year in passing, 14 interceptions for him. But my thing is, how do they match up, right? So both teams are really good offensively, both middle-of-the-pack defense. I think if Jesse Bates, Chidobe Awuzie, Von Bell, and Eli Apple, if they play the passing lanes against Matt Stafford, that can make the honest difference here because he just throws so many interceptions. He has 12 in the he has 12 in the, or not 12 in the postseason. He's got 4 in the postseason already, which leads the postseason of teams that are still, or that was still in the game. Cincinnati also finished the regular season 5 against the run, 11 in sacks, 17 points per game, and 18 in yards per game. So honestly, the way I see it, I don't want to bet against Joe Burrow, but like at the same time, I'll get to this in a minute. Their offensive line sucks. So I'll get to that. I have some numbers on that, but it really just comes down to who can score more. But
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing. So I was one of those guys since January 30th of 2020 when the Matt Stafford trade happened.
Yeah.
All over that Super Bowl pick since that day, documented, by the way. And
Okay.
yeah, but that's kind of where I was going to pick it up. Is this Bengals offensive line is
I got
tragic.
numbers on
They are not good. Burrow gets absolutely obliterated every single week, and that's where I think the Rams are going to really take off in this game. You have guys like Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd rushing.
Yep.
Tennessee sacked Joe Burrow 9 times with a just coming back Derrick Henry and a pretty mediocre offense. When you have the Rams with their explosive offense of Stafford, Akers coming back miraculously less than a year
run
later
games,
on
man.
this Achilles injury, the way he came back so fast is what I mean is miraculous.
Yeah.
And then you have Cooper Kupp and OBJ who's really coming into his own on the Rams. I think the Rams are going to take off with this game because the Bengals can't stop an even half decent pass rush and a subpar Bud Dupree for the Titans, and you're going to have Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and the scheme that the Rams have. I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to stop it, and it's pretty much just Joe Burrow versus everybody because the defense can show up in moments, but they're still not a great defense in Cincinnati. They're kind of situational, and then their weapons are there, but that's the thing too. The Rams can match up with the Bengals' weapons. We've seen Weddle come in and be absolutely dominant in his first
his
couple
one
games.
game.
We have Jalen Ramsey, who I cannot wait to watch the Ramsey and Chase matchup going on. And then you have Jordan Fuller and some other guys in the secondary that are playing pretty good. So I think it's going to be maybe close for the first little bit, but I think Burrow's going to get beat up pretty good and the Rams are going to take off. I'm going 31-17 LA.
You got to score.
Oh, I thought the score was next.
Okay.
Do we do score? Okay, go for it.
Well, the Rams are obviously the more talented team, I think, on both sides there, blue chippers. But we've seen Joe take like you said, 9 sacks against the Titans. I don't think they're getting more than 9 sacks. This is a terrible Cincinnati offensive line and the second best pass rushing defense according to PFF. And with Aaron Donald leading the league with interior pressures of 81, that's really hard for a quarterback to deal with pressure up the middle. But Joe Burrow, 9 sacks, and he still won the game. I just don't know what's going to rattle him at this point. He seems to still play through it and find a way to get the ball out of his hands quicker. He just when he needs a drive, he finds a drive, and every game throughout this playoffs, he's shown that. But I feel like the X factor in this game is Joe Mixon, their running back. Their running defense is pretty weak, the Rams, and Joe Mixon has had really big games for them, and they need it because they're not a consistent offense. They really do have drives that just bottom out quickly, and if he can establish a good running game early, I think that'll really help them just stay on the field and keep that defense off the field, keep that pass rush for them fresh, which is really important. That's like the best aspect of their defense. So yeah, I'd say Joe Mixon needs to have a good game, and how will Stafford play in those high pressure moments? Not to correct you, he only has 1 pick this playoffs, but he, like you said, he
definitely did lead the NFL, or he was tied.
He's 17. And like throughout, I think it was the last 4 weeks of the season, he threw 8 picks, which is really bad. And he definitely has those games where it's just like a 3-pick game, and you're like Stafford, like you're losing this
that's
game,
lost games for them.
Yeah, so if he can't have one of those games, and he needs to play well in high pressure moments. So yeah, I'm gonna say Joe Burrow's not gonna get rattled. I guess, are we saying who wins? I'd say the Bengals are going to win this one. I think they're the team of destiny. I say they.
Let me jump back in here real quick because I didn't know we were doing who wins it. Okay, so Steve, I'll hit you with some numbers real quick. The average money line right now is -164 Rams.
Talk to me dirty, kid.
Yeah, no. Okay, we're in Steven's betting corner now. This is Steven's betting corner. Stop sports wrap. No, but actually, and -4 for the Rams on the spread as well. And actually, the Rams are really good against the spread this year, Steve. You probably know that. But so I actually believe the Bengals O-line. So they're ranked right now 13 in total offense, but they gave up 55 sacks during the regular season. I'm going to support some of your stuff. That's kind of what I was going to get into. That was actually second most in the NFL behind the 24th ranked offense, Chicago Bears. So they also, in the playoffs, they've allowed 12 sacks. 9 of those came against Tennessee, and that's 4 more than the next worst team, which is the Chiefs. They had 9. 8. But if the Bengals want to win this game, their offensive line needs to play as if they aren't rated one of the worst in the NFL. Obviously, both have middle-of-the-pack defensive, 17th for the Rams, 18th for the or 17th for the Rams and 18th for the Bengals. I think the Rams defense could turn Joe Burrow into mincemeat, honestly. I just think it really depends. You said Joe Mixon. I agree. It could be Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. If they can get C.J. Uzama back, and don't sleep on that Jermaine Pratt. They've got a really good young linebacker in Jermaine Pratt. Their defense is young. You got a really good defense. DJ Reader, Clemson guy, former second-round pick for the Texans. He played really well for us, and he's doing really well for the Bengals. I got Rams, unfortunately, 27-25. I'm having to pick against Joe Burr here.
It's funny, y'all weren't even mentioning one guy that I thought would be mentioned on the Bengals defense.
Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah.
Akeem Davis
Gaither.
He's not even going to touch the field.
Guy.
I swear every single App State player that goes pro that's like a high-round draft pick just gets hurt. Darrington Evans, the same thing, third-round pick.
Yeah, and Darrington was like second on the depth chart, too.
Yeah, he was.
At one point, yeah.
Yeah, and then Derrick Henry goes down, and I'm like, oh, sweet. This, Darrington's going to end up starting now. And then Darrington gets hurt. But no, it's funny going back to Coop, you touched on Eli Apple. I saw this saying that Matt Rule had said when basically the Panthers got rid of Eli Apple. Matt Rule reportedly had looked at him and said, "You'll never play football again." And now look at him. He's an AFC champion playing for a Super Bowl.
Forget he was a first-round pick.
Oh yeah, I know. And
people are allowed to redeem their careers.
No, they are.
I know he had a
They are, but he was terrible.
I know he was, but he is not that same player.
No. He's a way better player,
yes.
But you still have that fear. He's not a lockdown guy.
He's not going to be guarding Cooper Kupp, though.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Janoris Jenkins that played for the Giants that was so good there for a while, and then he left and he just kind of fell off? But no.
Kind of like Josh Norman, too.
Yeah, exactly. But so based on, I guess, what I'm hearing, my conclusion here is all three of y'all are basically assuming he's going to come down to the Bengals' offensive line. Basically, right? I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Somewhat. Yeah.
So, what was? Go ahead, Lucas.
I was just going to say, what my take is, I just think their offense line is terrible, and they've never been able to protect him throughout the whole playoffs, and they've still found a way to win. So I do think it'll be a problem, but I just think Joe has found ways to work around being under pressure the entire game.
Joe loves the show, too. I mean, he loves it.
Think about what they did against Kansas City. They did nothing in the first half, but they had the run working.
Kansas City had pressure 42% of the time in that game, 16 times. There was only one sack, but just getting pressure is what really affects the quarterback. If you're under pressure 42% of the time and you still find a way to win that game, I just don't know what can rattle him at this point.
And no, what was even more crazy to me is that game, the Chiefs would swarm him like crazy, and then I'm like, oh no, he's going to get sacked, and then he slips out of it and ends up running for 10, 12 yards. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Joe Shiesty, he's definitely living up to his nickname, that's for sure. But no, the Bengals' defense impressed me tremendously in that AFC Championship game. It is very, very hard to go into Arrowhead and outplay and outperform the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in the playoffs. And the Bengals' defense, played well in that game. The one thing that I will say is Matt Stafford. The Rams were my pick to make the Super Bowl once he got traded, but my whole thing is Matt Stafford's got to find a way to take care of the football. Sam Hubbard's probably going to end up, getting in the backfield.
Trey
Hendrickson, yeah, they both probably are end up in the backfield somehow, some way, and get in Sam's face.
DJ Reader.
The question is going to be though, how quickly and efficiently can how quickly and efficiently can he move the football? I mean, if he can't ever move the football, then, there's no chance at all. But we'll see. It's going to be fun. You would almost think that, all fairy tales have a happy ending, and I mean, you would think that the happy ending would be the Bengals winning the Super Bowl, you know?
Not for me.
And
Not as a Steelers fan, dude. I sat on the couch for about 30 minutes last week, just like the Bengals won the Super Bowl.
They won 4 games
I
last
was
year.
speechless, absolutely.
They are one of those
speechless.
teams like I never expected.
No.
That. Like, they just
Zach
it doesn't even
Taylor?
seem right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Zach's a head coach.
I don't think any America does not know who
They
he
don't
is.
know who Zach
Like,
Taylor is. No.
My guess was, going into this draft when the end up, I was thinking offensive line 100%. Then they go and they draft Jamar Chase. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a gutsy move.
Yeah.
But I think next, the key focus is going to be the offensive line. I mean, I think that's very, very clear. And so this game is going to be fun. I hope it's not a blowout. Steven, you're going 14 points. I hope it's not that much. I hope it's close all the way through. It is definitely going to be fun. Joe Burrow loves the spotlight. He loves being, star of the show kind of thing. It's going to be fun. And the matchups is what I'm really looking for is, the Jamar Chase and the Jalen Ramsey. And then I want to see, because we know without a doubt that the Rams' run defense is going to be tested. I mean, that's just guaranteed going to happen. And one of the things to keep in mind, too, I think the Bengals were the least penalized team in all of NFL football this year, too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that might end up being another thing when you come down to it is who's going to end up making the most mistakes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. This is hard for me because the Rams were my pick to make the Super Bowl, but I love watching and seeing what Joe Burrow and Cincinnati is doing and Zach Taylor is doing. I mean, they're doing phenomenal things, there in Cincinnati, and this is hard. I would love to see the Rams win it just because it's their home field, but at the same time, it would be cool to see the Bengals win. We're not even talking about the MVP for the Bengals this whole
I was just about to ask, do we think the Super Bowl MVP is going to be a quarterback this year?
I was going to say.
Like, guaranteed?
Depends on who wins.
I think
who's your pick?
If the Bengals win, Joe Seisman.
I think it's like
the Bengals win.
I think the money line
What if
is like.
Jamar goes for 200 plus again with like 3 touchdowns?
I think the money line right now is like.
And then
that's
Joe
just-
will have like
Please
200
give
plus
me the over.
touchdowns.
Please give me the over on that because that's.
I think the
that number is small.
I think the money line right now is like plus 200. I want to say
No.
Joe Burrow.
Oh,
For the Rams,
I
though,
want to say
it's minus 164 Rams money line.
I would love to see Donalds as one of the linemen because if they get and have like another 9-sack game, if like one guy has like 6 sacks and it was that's the reason
true.
they lost.
Well, you
like,
got to
one
throw in Von Miller in there too. I mean, Aaron Donald gets double teamed, and somehow that defensive line still finds a way to get through the ball. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of ways it could go. So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize to Cody because we played a short little trivia last week, and I told him winner would get something out of the vending machine, and I forgot to get him something out of the vending
So we're
machine.
going double or nothing this time then?
So sure,
I don't know any.
I didn't.
I don't know any trivia.
we'll do double or nothing.
I thought you were
So-
asking us to find
Yeah.
trivia. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna- I don't know.
No. I put that there for me. So just so I didn't forget. All right, so it's Super Bowl season, I guess. Obviously, on the brink, made me wonder. This one's pretty easy. It should be pretty easy, I feel like, for you all. So there's 3 of them here. So where was the first Super Bowl played, and then who won? We'll go around the table.
It was played in Lambeau Field, I'm pretty sure, in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Well, we're
What did you
listed
say?
as a
What was the
team.
team?
Who
It was
won?
Kansas City and Green Bay.
Who won?
Oh,
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay won.
Green Bay won is Chiefs and Pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So no point in going around.
No, that's not. I mean, y'all are halfway right. It wasn't played at Lambeau.
Oh, wasn't it played in Green Bay though?
Mm-mm.
Was it played in Kansas City?
No. It's played at the Coliseum. It's played at the Coliseum.
That's a
Oh, it was
cop
in
out.
LA.
Played at the Coliseum,
Cop-out.
yeah.
Well,
Played
yeah,
at
we
the
already did.
Coliseum.
We already got it wrong.
All right, so all 3 of y'all are wrong. We're going to say that. All right, so this one should be easy. If you know the Packers won the Super Bowl that year, this is, this one is who was the quarterback for the team who won the Super Bowl that year?
They were still wearing rubber helmets back then. I mean,
Another coach.
yeah, the
Lombardi.
trophy is named after him. The quarterback. Well, I mean, we're going way back here.
Was it? No.
Whoever thinks they got it can
This
go
guy's got a
ahead and
computer
guess.
up, so I'm just kidding.
I mean, all right, Steven, who do you think it is?
For some reason, Bart Starr's popping up in my head, but I don't think that's right at all.
Okay, Lucas, do you have one?
Joe Namath. I don't know.
Joe's on the Jets.
That's the only old QB name I know.
That came to mind, but I know it's not him. It wasn't Bart Starr.
I know.
I have the answer.
Probably.
You're right.
He's right.
Yeah,
It was Bart Starr.
Steven got
That name came up in my head too, but
Let's go.
I was like, that was not the right answer.
Steven right now is winning. So last one.
Man over here on his computer so quick.
What?
Not at all.
Okay, so
Not look that up.
I'm gonna say this one, and then if y'all all three get it right, I'm gonna throw in the second part of the question. So I'm gonna save the second part unless all three y'all get it right. So what city has hosted the most Super Bowls?
Los Angeles.
Steven? This one surprised me, honestly.
It's not
New York.
I was gonna say New
Jersey.
York.
Oh wait, can I? Indianapolis. I'm gonna guess.
Nope, not Indy. What's your final guess?
Oh,
Well,
this is crazy.
It's like the New York teams, but they were like
is it?
stadiums.
Did you
in
say
Jersey.
state or just
It's
where?
like, I don't-
Where?
I was gonna say Florida.
Oh, we need like a stadium.
I was gonna say
I was thinking
Florida, but-
state.
Florida, if you're just saying. state.
Yeah, I was gonna say Florida, or Texas.
It's not
Miami?
Florida, I don't think.
Well,
Because
there's
they
been a
don't
lot-
play them at Tampa that often. Hard
Miami,
Rocks
though.
every now and
Exact
then.
stadium or the state they're in.
So,
Yeah, 'cause
like the city.
I was gonna say because
the
Hard Rock
city.
hasn't been there
What
since the
city
inception.
New
did they
York.
play in?
I'm going New York.
New York. Okay. What are you going, Lucas?
I'll go. Yeah, Miami.
Miami. Okay.
I was gonna do Miami as well.
Y'all are both right. It was Miami. All right, so it's all tied, one all. So I'm glad I came up with a second part. So second part of this question: how many Oh, by the way, it was the Orange Bowl. So they were played in the Orange Bowl before Hard Rock was built, because Hard Rock's fairly
It's
new,
like
I guess. Yeah.
5 years old. Oh.
So how many Super Bowls have been played in Miami so far?
This just came to my head.
Can I still get a point for this one?
You know it.
Yeah, what?
It's tied.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we're all one.
Oh,
so yeah, we have to.
yeah,
I
so
don't know
it's
if it's a
tied.
There's
two-parter, but-
56 Super Bowls and every team has had.
I say at least 10.
I'm gonna say 11.
Going the over.
6.
Lucas is right. It was 11.
Oh my God!
So Lucas wins.
He
So
took the
Lucas
over.
won. So
Took my Miami
the
pick and took
second,
the over.
the second city with the most Super Bowls is New Orleans. New Orleans has hosted 10.
yeah.
So New Orleans has hosted the second most.
Sean Payton.
So it looks like Lucas is the winner for this trivia. And Lucas, I promise I'll hit you up with the vending machine. So don't
You're
let
welcome
me
for them answers, bro.
Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. All right, so we're gonna take a commercial break. All this talking makes us really, really thirsty. So we're gonna take a commercial break, but when we come back, we've got a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about the rivalry. Duke and Carolina do face off this Saturday in Chapel Hill. This one's gonna be pretty heated. I got a feeling this debate. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to Sports Wrap presented by Eggers, and Eggers on your college, your station, your music.
Let's go!
To a place where you can grow.
A place to be heard.
And take a closer look.
A place where you can crush it.
And push yourself.
A place to find your voice.
This place rocks. And rolls. A place where you can get out.
A place you'll never forget.
So where is this place? Let me show you.
Life is a journey. We're told that there are mountains and valleys before us. A mountaineer trudges through. Where others see an obstacle, a mountaineer sees an opportunity. A mountaineer climbs tomorrow's mountains today. So what is a mountaineer? A mountaineer is you.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave.
Rice, a former App State student and former radio DJ here at WASU, now very successful career at PRN. Got to meet him at a one time for alumni takeover. Super nice guy. Really enjoyed connecting with him and meeting him. So he's a great guy. Loves App State, that's for sure. So as we had said before commercial break, we're going to get into the rivalry. A lot of people would have to make the argument that this is, the best rivalry in not just all of college sports, but in all of sports in general, American sports. That's kind of debatable, I guess, in a sense, just because there's so many really good rivalries. But I think when it comes to college sports, I think 100% this is easily the best rivalry. And this is an intense week. It really is. And I think from a Carolina fan perspective, I enjoy playing at Cameron more than I do at the Dean Dome. And maybe I don't know. It just tastes better. It just tastes sweeter winning at the Dean Dome than it does winning at. Or I'm sorry, tastes sweeter winning at Cameron than it does at the Dean Dome. But could be wrong. There's still a lot of excitement though for this game. That's for sure. So, as I said earlier, they play this Saturday night for the first time this season in God's country, a.k.a. Chapel Hill. So neither one of these teams, guys, really just seem to be just outright dominant this year. Both have really struggled in some games. I know Carolina just had played pretty terribly against Wake, and they played pretty bad against Boston College, and just to name a couple of them. And so this first matchup, it's What do you guys? What's your kind of thoughts on this game? Because neither one of these teams really just seems absolutely dominant this year.
Duke's pretty good.
I wouldn't really say that, Jason. Duke has beaten 2 top 5 teams this year. That wouldn't be really fair to say. Duke beat the number 1 Gonzaga, and obviously Kentucky, who turned around and sadly beat North Carolina by 29 points. But really, I think, kind of going into this matchup, I always say, and I'm going to throw some stats out. That's just what I have to do to actually verify what I'm saying. But stats really go out of the window, and I've said this for years. Stats go out of the window when this game is played. So don't expect any of what I'm saying to actually apply to the game on Saturday, because I was when they say when the cage shuts in a UFC match, when that ball is thrown up in the air, none of that matters. Armando Bacot shoots 16% from 3 on the year. He could shoot 4 for 4 from 3. No. He shoots 16% from 3.
He doesn't shoot.
Paulo is 6'11", and he is shooting. Let's see how much. Paulo shoots 32% from 3, and he's 6'11". So I wouldn't really use that excuse.
Has nothing to do with it.
Jason, you said he's a big guy. Paulo's a big guy.
Big guys shoot threes now.
Yeah, that is true. Big guys shoot threes, and you said he's a big guy. So, anyways, so like I said, it's just one of those things.
Nothing to do with his 3-point percentage being low. I know, but that has nothing to do with his 3-point percentage being low.
Why can't he shoot threes then? If he's a big man,
he's
so
probably
is
not
Paulo.
going to shoot.
Anyways, that's not
the way he plays.
Jason, it was a joke. So basically, right now Duke opens as a 60% favorite, as the 2nd-ranked team in the ACC and the 9th-ranked team in the country, with wins over number 1 Gonzaga, like I said, 5th-ranked Kentucky. Duke has beaten multiple ranked teams and has, at the very least, the number 2 pick in this upcoming draft. So yeah, like I said earlier, Kentucky was able to handle UNC back in late December, beating them by 29 points. UNC actually, 3 of their past 4 games, they've been wins, but they've come against 3 of the worst 4 teams in the ACC to carve their win streak, only scoring 58 points against Boston College and beating a state team that has fans calling for Kevin Keatts' head. Virginia Tech looks worse than ever, only facing 2 ranked teams this year and losing to those games considerably, losing to State and Boston College. Not really good wins for UNC, even on this win streak. Congratulations to them. Another thing is, I find trouble finding more than 2 considerable, efficient, and consistent scorers for UNC aside from Caleb Love and Armando Bacot. They don't have a single player on their roster right now, aside from Armando Bacot, averaging more than 5 rebounds. So the way I see it is, I'm not going to get into the matchup prediction yet, but they're going to get killed on the glass if statistics actually show like I said, statistics don't always matter, but they'll get killed on the glass because Mark Williams is like I think top 2 in the ACC for rebounding, and also he leads the ACC in blocks this year. He might not be top 2. But also Brady Manic has turned into kind of an inconsistent transfer that didn't really fill the hole Walker Kessler, the Auburn standout now, left. He's averaging 13 points. You can pull up the stats, sure, but there's inconsistency in his game, and you can kind of see it. He shoots pretty decent from three-point, but like I said, inconsistency. I know there was only 58 points scored against Boston College, but he only had 7 points and then 15 points the game before. There is definitely inconsistencies there, and you can see it if you look at his stats. He's very resemblant of like a Tanner Groves, the Eastern Washington transfer to Oklahoma, stood out against that game in Kansas last year, or against Kansas. So consistency has been questionable for the entire roster, and you can tell, games, They beat Virginia Tech, but by a slim 10-point margin. I believe that was the game Armando Bacot had 29 to 21. So I believe that, check me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the game that Armando had 29 to 21 and took everything in Carolina's power to beat Virginia Tech. And then that really abysmal loss to Miami. Now I get it. Duke lost to Miami as well, but all in all, I just
we gotta
thoughts
agree
on this
that
first matchup.
Miami's a pretty good basketball team.
That's where I wanted to kind of start off, because you're looking at Duke at an 18-1 team outside of the state of Florida, right? Lost by 1 point to Florida State, lost 76 to 74 to Miami. UNC got whooped. They left with their tails tucked, 85 to 57 out of Miami. Yeah, it was a 28-point game.
But the game was at 30 at some point. Yeah,
which is terrible. And I mean, if you're Duke, you have Pablo Banchero. I think those are really the only 2 words you've got to say. I grew up a UNC fan. Now that I've been at App for 4 years, that loyalty's definitely kind of gone farther and farther away, and almost despise them to a point because of football now. And so still will be pulling for them over Duke, but Duke's going to win this game, in my opinion. Cooper said that they could get killed off the glass. I think they're going to get killed in a lot more categories than that, and probably the game entirely. Both of them are both up top. Duke's number 1 and 8-2 in the conference. North Carolina's tied with Miami and Notre Dame at 8-3 in the conference so far. So all of these conference games matter a lot, because then you have Wake Forest at 8-4. So it's very tight up there at the top. And I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I mean, I think Duke's just going to outclass this UNC team. They're just too inconsistent. Cooper mentioned that they don't have a whole bunch of guys that can go out there. You don't know what you're going to get from Caleb Love offensively every night. You don't know what you're going to get from Armando every night. They're pretty much two standout players. I think Duke's just a way more consistent, physical, better team.
Dawson Garcia left, though. He left a couple weeks ago for family matters, quote unquote. Should be, yeah. And then Anthony Harris, of course, academically just uneligible to play, which don't even get me started on that. But Dawson Garcia, he has been out though for family reasons, is what the reason was.
Yeah. So let's get into this. So Paulo Banchero, he's obviously one of the best players in the country, averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists on 2.5 turnovers. So very bad assisted turnover percentage, but he's been pretty efficient, 32% from the field, 49% from the field. But I feel like the real big player in this game, and why I think this Duke team is dangerous to even win the championship this year, is Wendell Moore Jr. If you look at every Duke championship team, they always have the experienced guy. Duke teams are always filled with talent. This team is no different, but you need those guys who've been there to actually have the consistency and just know in those tough moments, have someone that tells you the right thing to do at that time. Because we've just seen Paulo, there's games he disappears. It's not anything against him. He's only 18, 19 years old. There's just going to be games that you struggle. So it's good. This team is just loaded. Trevor Keels is another one, 6'4",
Don't forget about A.J. Griffin.
I have him there. Flamethrower, 50% from 3 on 3 a game.
There you go.
And then you have Malik Williams, as you said, 3.2 blocks per game. But the one thing I disagree with what you said, Cooper, is you said that UNC is going to get killed on the boards. I disagree. Armando Bacot's one of the best rebounders in the ACC and the country. He averages, you said that no one on the...
I said aside from North Carolina, there's only one that has double digits.
Yes. Yeah, but what I was going to say, so you said... sorry, I forget what you said. They had 5. No one was over 5 rebounds per game besides Bacot.
Right now,
Manic's at 5.6.
5.6. I said 5.6.
Yeah, no. That's not what I was saying. No, what I was going to say is Armando Bacot's averaging 5 more rebounds than every player on Duke's roster right now.
So is he going to out rebound 5 players though?
He plays.
Is he 7-1?
He has done it before. Have you watched him? He is a beast on the boards.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, no, he shoots 57% from the field,
16% from 3-point.
He's not. He's a big guy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
No, and then a different thing with this UNC team than a lot. UNC is usually the well put together, like 4-year guys, not super athletic. But this team has some real upside with their guard Caleb Love. He is, like you said, he struggles with consistency. 15 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on only 38% shooting from the field. But what's interesting enough is he's shooting better from 3 this season, 41% on 5 attempts per game. That's up from 26% on 4 attempts last year. He's a much improved 3-point shooter. He's super athletic. He has good size at 6'4" at the guard position. He can be dangerous if he gets hot in this game. And then Brady Manic, of course, like you said, he's struggled with consistency. He is a good offensive player. He's efficient, 13 points on 50% shooting from the field, 40% from 3. I'm not a big Brady Manic guy, though. Terrible on defense, can't rebound. It's just empty calories with him. I'm not a big Manic guy. I lean towards Duke winning this game, but like you said, this is like a boxing match. Everything goes out the window when these two teams play. We've seen the best Duke's teams lose to UNC and vice versa. It can go either way. But I just look at the undeniable talent on this Duke team, and I just have to say, as a UNC fan, I do think Duke's probably going to win this one, especially Coach K.
Yeah.
Last time in the Dean Dome, he's not going to want to end on a loss. So, yeah, I'm going to go Duke in this one.
Steve, you know what? Steve and Lucas, I came into this, guys, listening at 3v1, right? I definitely thought I was going to get some pushback from these two.
He told me not to come if I was going to jump on with Jason.
No, but I'm expecting it from him. But honestly, I like the realism, guys. I mean, I do enjoy the realism, but we'll see what Jason has to say.
I think it also makes it easier if you're like a UNC fan, that you see a team that you know is not going to win at all, at least in my opinion. Like, obviously, yeah, it's Duke and it's the biggest game or one of the 2 biggest games of the year, but it also makes it like a lot more important when you're like 2 like top 10, top 15, even 2 top 25 teams. But in my opinion, this UNC team they don't have legs to get to the championship.
No, I meant like this year. When was the last time they were ranked?
Beginning of the year.
After the first game they lost.
Yeah, no, they were like 15, then they dropped out.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear from Boss Man over there.
The one thing that I will say is, you can look past stats, you can look past all that you want to look past, but it doesn't matter when it comes down to it. I mean, this is all that goes out the window when it's Duke and Carolina. I mean, it really does. But one thing that I will say is, what I've noticed as a Carolina fan is Roy Williams put a huge emphasis on rebounding the basketball in practice and during games and everything. And it's like, since Roy has kind of stepped away and Hubert has taken over, it's like the rebounding hasn't been there like it should have. I mean, when you look really at the rebounding, I mean, Carolina has 903 rebounds total on the year, and opponents on average have 712 against. Well, per game, Carolina averages 41 rebounds a game, and then their opponents average 32.5. So, usually Carolina absolutely blows out the rebounding margins, and that's one of the things that I'm really going to have to probably watch very, very closely. And another thing is probably the inconsistencies. Now, I will say, when you go on the road to Coral Gables to play Miami, who's a dang good basketball team this year, Wake Forest, you play them in Winston-Salem, you probably should have beat Wake Forest, but Wake is still...
It was like a 20-point game, wasn't it?
Yeah, Wake is still a really good team. And for whatever reason, I don't understand why, but Carolina cannot get Kentucky to play in Chapel Hill. It's always either at Rupp or it's the CBS Sports Classic at a neutral location. It literally never fails. So I don't understand that at all. It makes absolutely no sense to me. The one thing that I'm going to be watching, I guess, is Carolina's got to take care of the basketball. Carolina turns the ball over way too much. They do not take care of the basketball like they should at all. I think this has a chance, I guess, to be a frustrating game, really, from either side when you look at it. Carolina is plus 8.6 in the rebounding margin this season, which, is usually pretty good for them. It it's tough because the inconsistencies is what drives me insane. Some games you'll have Caleb Love that shoots completely lights out. Some games Brady Manic goes completely off. Armando's pretty consistent with that. Sometimes R.J. Davis plays pretty solid. You get Leaky Black sometimes, who puts up pretty good numbers. So I mean, and then other times they just look completely clueless and completely lost. Like that Boston College game was just an embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Carolina did not deserve to win that game at all, and somehow ended up pulling out the win. And the thing is when you play these top tier teams, like Carolina played Purdue earlier in the year they played Purdue and Tennessee, two of the better teams in the country this year. And one of the things was Carolina played very, very well all the way up to the end of the game in both of those games, and then just let it slip and couldn't ever pull it back in. And so it's difficult from a Carolina fan perspective. So I mean, when you play a team like Duke, though, you've got to capitalize every single opportunity you get, and if you don't, Duke's going to take advantage of that. I mean, and fun fact, actually, Wendell Moore and Leaky Black are both from my hometown. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. They played high school ball together, so it's pretty cool to see them, I guess, facing off against each other. Now I believe this will be the third year they played against each other. So pretty cool. But it's hard for me to really say that Duke is going to win this game. I mean, I absolutely refuse to say that.
You're not supposed to.
If Carolina makes any mistakes whatsoever, both offensively and or defensively, Duke is liable to make them pay for it, and then it's going to end up bad. But the question is going to be, does Carolina try to play one-dimensional and attack the paint and Armando, or do they try to mix it up some?
That. Jason, you made a good point though. You said they played some good teams and they just kind of fell apart late, and Duke is one of those teams that will make you pay. And I think North Carolina, how long does that momentum from the rivalry actually sustain enough to be able to put up with a top 10 team in the country? Like, how long can they actually sustain that momentum and go crazy? Can they do it for 40 minutes? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think they can.
Well, UNC also let up 40 points in 15 minutes to NC State in that game the other day, too.
Wow. Yeah, no, if history shows, North Carolina really should be leading going into the final few minutes, because if they're not, game over. Because like you said a lot of games have gotten away from them late. You just said 40. What was that? 40 points.
40 points
in the last 15
minutes. To
that's
NC
horrible.
State.
That's horrible.
That was also a 20-point game, though.
But still,
like at
that's
the end
horrible.
of it, when you, I agree. UNC has had trouble closing games, but that's a game where it's like you know the outcome of the game before it's over, and you were just kind of waiting for the game to finish. So you have your bench guys out there, and they're still playing hard. So I don't know. That's that one example I don't 100% agree with. But
go ahead.
I definitely
said it's 10 and 13 NC State. I don't know. 40 points is a lot, even with that margin.
Still, no, I mean, that's a 15 minutes, 40 points isn't easy. Like, you're not playing good defense if you're doing that. I agree. But
I think Brady Manic was probably out on the floor.
Oh, that man gets roasted daily. But no, I think this will be a close game. I think it's UNC Duke.
Yeah.
But I think a big X factor in this game is Trevor Keels for Duke.
He's
their best ball handler. I think best passer. I think he creates a lot.
How many points did he have against a game in Kentucky?
Oh, he had
25, right?
That was a very good game.
Yeah, he can do that against anybody.
I love this guy for the NBA. I'm a big NBA guy. He's 6'4", 220. This guy's going to be so switchable defensively.
How big is Caleb Love, by the way?
6'4", but 195.
Yeah, there you go. Body.
It gets bodied a little bit, but 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Not great numbers. 38% from the field.
Games.
He did miss. I just think he's not incredibly efficient right now, but if he can have one of those good games like he did against Kentucky, shooting the ball well, once he's playing well, it really opens up the court offensively for Duke. So that'll be tough for UNC to deal with. But I do have a question for you, Cooper. Mm-hmm. With all these UNC fans kind of, admitting Duke's probably going to win this one, does it make it less sweet on your end?
No, I didn't admit that. I never admitted that.
Cooper, is this scary?
I never admitted that. I never admitted that.
No, but you two, and honestly, I was looking more. I was thinking there was going to be more pushback, but honestly, I hate it for you guys because I wanted that, but I spent a lot of time looking at stats, and there's just really nothing popping out to me, guys. Like, you don't really have much ground to stand on, and it's really unfortunate. It really is, because as much as I like to sit on this high stool and Duke's number 9, UNC hasn't been ranked since November. Like, I really do love this. I know the jabs keep coming. I'm sorry. It just like rolls off my tongue, but.
So this is like the most demeaning apology I've heard.
They're all so backhanded. They're all so backhanded. But no, like Lucas, like you said, I mean, it does kind of take a little bit away, because I want North Carolina to be ranked, and I want us to just like smack a ranked North Carolina so we can actually talk, but this kind of goes to UNC fans. Oh, we swept y'all, we were so good last year. Like, okay, we were terrible. You guys beat us when we were absolutely garbage. So how much does that really mean to you? Like, you asked me the same question.
So now he's going to get on his high horse because they're good this year, but he's not going to be on it last year.
No, I still called Duke wins, even though we lost, like both times. I stand by. I will never call. Like, I don't expect you to call Duke to win. Absolutely. No,
like I would. Money line, Jason?
What?
You gonna bet the UNC money line?
He could get.
They're gonna lose.
Yeah, he could cash out on that.
It's probably gonna be around like what?
It's gonna be +2 something.
Plus 250, maybe +3, probably +250.
There's gonna be some props too. Maybe Armando. Like,
there's no way. I would not be a true Carolina. I would not be a true Carolina fan if I said Carolina was gonna lose to Duke. I mean, I would not, at all.
I would agree, but we're also supposed to be sports.
Exactly.
So I'm just trying to be realistic, and what my actual unbiased opinion is that Duke's probably going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, unbiasedly, Duke matches up way better than Carolina does.
At every position.
I mean,
he goes to they match up way better, but he still can't say it.
I mean, they match up way better in every aspect, just about. But I cannot say that Duke is going to win this game. I just cannot say it. I mean, there's no chance at all. But I want to kind of look at, I guess.
I have like one more.
I mean, Carolina's 12-0 at home, so I mean that. I hope I didn't just jinx it right there, but that's going to be probably something they ride on pretty heavily, being 12-0, and so I don't know. The fact of the matter is we could talk about it all day, all night. I mean, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter what these teams' numbers are, how good of players they have, how bad. I mean, their records, all that goes out the window whenever these games come down to it. I mean, I can remember, what was it? I guess it was 2 years ago when Wendell Moore hit the game-winning shot on in the Dean Dome.
That was his first game against Leaky. You said they were former teammates.
Yeah. So I mean that right there in and of itself is tough, but I don't know. Carolina's just very, very inconsistent, and the inconsistencies just drive me absolutely insane. But it's going to be a fun game. I still have a lot of faith in this team. I still think Hubert can prepare them well enough to win this game. And a lot of these guys on this roster, they've been in this atmosphere before, so they know what it takes to win this game. So, I mean, we'll see. Of course, Duke does too. Duke has guys that have too. So we're going to run a little over, but I want to kind of. We're going to skip down a few because I want to stick with this rivalry. We're going to run over a couple minutes, but that's okay. So, we talked about a couple different guys we all kind of pointed out, but, I mean, who would you all kind of say would are players that you'd keep an eye on?
I'll go really quick. You took one of them for me, Lucas. I was going to mention the point guard / center. He honestly, I think he weighs like 30 less pounds than Armando Bacot. Like, he drove on. Go watch the Kentucky game. He drove on Oscar Shibwe. Went into his body.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like, Caleb Love stands absolutely no chance. Sorry. So you covered Trevor Keels, but nobody really talked. You talked a little bit about. You just mentioned his numbers. AJ Griffin started the year. He missed, I think, the first month. Didn't play any really at all. The guy didn't come on. His first few games were rough, but that's to be expected for a player transition in college. The guy is a flamethrower, 50% from three. Don't be just. He's 6'7", but his frame is as big as Armando Bacot's. Like, I'm just using him because you guys are UNC fans. He trust me, he can get it done. But he's big. He can shoot outside, inside. Paulo, obviously, the dude's a walking 2010. He's 18-8, but he is a walking 2010. So
you can't say that, and then if he doesn't actually have 20 and 10,
he has 3 of those this year.
So you could say he's a walking 18-8, but you couldn't say he's a walking 20 and 10.
But he is. And he might do it on Saturday night. Let me take take the over on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick to 2 guys. I think in this game, the 2 stars are going to come out. Pablo Banchero, I think, is going to take over this game. And the only person that's really going to be able to stop him down in the paint or going for whatever he's going for is Armando Bacot. So I think the game's really going to come down to those 2. And one other guy I guess I'm looking at, if UNC wants to win this game, we're going to have to see Love have a big game. And there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about that if they want to win.
Yeah, definitely. For UNC, without a doubt, Caleb Love is the X factor. He is 15 points per game, but he's very volatile with that, where he'll go for 30 and then he can have like a 3-point game. So what you're going to get from him is going to decide this game. And then also, hasn't been discussed yet, Wendell Moore Jr., very important for this Duke team. He's a junior, and he's their highest scorer outside of Paolo. Mm-hmm. He's way more experienced than Paolo and way more efficient this year, shooting 40% from 3 and 52% from the field. Yeah, he has some games, but he's one of those guys who will always affect the game, even if he's not scoring well. Right. So I still think he's just like the veteran heart of this team, I feel like. So I feel like he's going to have a big game.
So I'm going to go with, as we close out the show, Wendell Moore is one that I would keep my eyes on just because he kind of flies on the radar, but he's just like Leaky, just in different colors. I mean, he plays well defensively. He can score when he needs to. So Wendell is one that I would keep my eye on. That's not going to be I'm going to stay on the Carolina side here. I'm looking, like you all said, Caleb Love, even Brady Manic. I feel like Brady Manic has kind of embraced that captain role for Carolina and for this roster. So I'm going to say Brady, Manic, and then look for another guy, maybe even like a Kerwin Walton or a Justin McCoy, maybe somebody like that. A guy who kind of comes off the bench now that still has a lot of potential talent and that sort of thing. So those are the ones that I'm going to watch out for, I guess. Personally, I'm going to stay on the Carolina side. So that's going to do it for this episode of Sports Wrap. But it's tradition, like we do always, we got to do shout outs. So we'll go ahead and go around the table. We'll start with Coop, and then I'll close it out.
Quick shout out to my family. Love you guys. But this shout out goes to the best player to ever play NFL. Hands down. I don't like the guy, but I think he is objectively the best player to ever play the game. Tom Brady. Congrats on retirement. You deserve it. 22 seasons in the NFL. I don't really need to say your stats. Everybody knows.
I'm shouting out the Hall of Fame class 5 years from now. That could include Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Andrew Whitworth, Adrian Peterson, Rob Gronkowski, AB, if you put him
That's
up there.
That's going to be a great Hall of Fame.
And also, thanks Tom Brady for once again ruining, as a Steelers fan, Ben Roethlisberger's Hall of Fame ceremony by showing him up. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough for Ben. But I'm going to shout out my family and everyone listening right now. My roommates listening, I think my sister up in New York. So shout out to them. And then shout out to the whole Memphis Grizzlies team. That team is so fun to watch. If you're watching NBA, they're trash talking, they're young, they play fast, they have highlight dunks, and they have 12 dudes who can legitimately play 40 minutes a game. So just a fun team to watch.
So I'm going to shout out, I guess I'm going to do sentimental and then sports shout out. So I'm going to shout out, obviously, the support group that I have. My mom, my dad, Ronnie, Pamela, my 2 brothers, Jacob, JD, my girlfriend, Ashley, just a huge support group I have. But I've got some very special people listening tonight. These are 2 people that have made a huge impact on my life, and they've only been on this earth for a couple years. My 2 nephews, Coulter and Brooks, are listening tonight. I just want to give them a huge shout out, let them know that I love them dearly, and I enjoy being their uncle, and they can countlessly make me smile, and I feel nothing but blessed having them in my life, and it's a joy getting to be their uncle. So I love you boys so much. I'll thank you so much for listening. And then of course, family, mom, dad, 2 brothers, girlfriends. I love you all dearly with all my heart and soul. Couldn't be the man I am today without y'all. And then my shout out, although they're losing, I'm gonna have to go with the App State men's basketball team. They are losing right now by 9, 17 minutes just under left to go in the game. They are down 36-45. They're in at Texas State. Texas State, one of the top teams in the Sun Belt. So shout out to those boys. Still playing great basketball, but still looking to stay atop the Sun Belt. So that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Wrap. For Lucas Warren, Stephen Biddix, Cooper Grovero, I'm Jason James. Thank you so much for listening this evening. I hope you all have a great weekend. We will see you on Tuesday. Take care, and as always, roll Nears.